A very hi, everyone. It's 2:30 right now, and I still see a lot of people thronging in. So a very good afternoon to all of you, and a very warm welcome to our first edition of Venture Voices. My name is Bernard Su. I'm the founder of Entrepreneur Leadership Institute, ELI in short, as well as your moderator today. A little bit about Venture Voices. It is one of the initiatives from ELI. It serves as a platform for a community of entrepreneurs to learn from one another through sharings of insights and personal journeys in businesses and in life. So in today's webinar, it's about breaking barriers, where we hear from women in businesses, their stories of triumph and tenacity. And I'm very honored to have three distinguished women in business to share about their successes and their challenges. They are Renee Chong, my colleague from ELI. We have Sneha, career coach and leadership facilitator, as well as Sujata Tiwari, CEO, entrepreneur, life mentor, and author. I will leave them to introduce themselves to you later during their respective segment. As for the format of the webinar, before each sharing by our respective women in business, there will be a Mentimeter questions because we like to hear your thoughts for each questions. There will also be a Q&A session following the three speakers sharing at the end of the session. So without further ado, before I hand the time over to our first speaker, Renee Chong of ELI, I will kick off with the first Mentimeter questions. You will see the QR code over here in yellow. Please use your phones to scan the QR code and give us your answers on what motivates you to ponder the idea of starting a business. And without further ado, over to you, Renee.
Thank you, Bernard. Perhaps maybe we can give some more time for more participants to join. And then I will start sharing. So meanwhile, for those who have just joined us, yes, we have just kickstart our very first sessions. We'd like you to let us know what is your thinking behind, what motivates you to ponder about wanting to start a business. What is your trigger, right? So let us know your voices first before we share our journey with you. Thank you.
So for those of you who are still coming in, you'll see a QR code over here. We're going to kick off with a Mentimeter question. What motivates you to ponder the idea of starting a business? So scan the QR code. We'd like to have your inputs. Thank you. All right, I still see some of you coming in, just joining in. So for those for you who have just joined the webinar today, we're gonna kick off we've just kicked off with a Mentimeter questions. What motivates you to ponder the idea of starting a business? So there's a QR code over here. Please scan the QR code with your phones and give us your input. Okay, there's more. I think for this, I will still see a lot of participants coming in. Probably what we can do is we can have a rerun of this the introduction so that those of you who have just come in will not miss out. So we're gonna refresh the start off. Apologies. Thank you very much. We see more people coming in actually at the lobby. So, okay, there's more people coming in from the lobby. We're still admitting them. For those of you who have just entered the room, very good afternoon to you. In case you missed the introduction, so my name is Bernard. I'm the founder of Entrepreneur Leadership Institute. I'm your moderator today. So very thank you for making time on this Friday afternoon to join us. So Venture Voices is one of the initiatives from Eli. It serves as a platform for our community of entrepreneurs to learn from one another through sharings of insights and personal journeys in businesses and life. And today's webinar, we're going to talk about the breaking barriers, where we hear from three women in business, their stories of triumph and tenacity. So before we start, there's this Mentimeter question where we'd like to hear from you. So please use your phone and scan the QR code over here, and Renee will kick off very shortly with this. So use your phone right now. So we'd like you to scan the QR code over here. And give us your inputs for the Mentimeter questions over here. So for those of you who have just entered the lobby, from the lobby, before we kick off the meeting today, the webinar today, there is a Mentimeter questions. Please scan the QR code over here and give us your inputs. What motivates you to ponder the idea of starting a business?
Oh, thank you very much for your input. It's really wonderful to have you to let us know what you're thinking about and why do you want to start a business. Actually, looking at the responses here, it really resonates with me when I actually start and quit my job, from the corporate. So hi everyone, good afternoon everyone. I'm Renee. I am the CEO of Entrepreneur Leadership Institute, and before I start, I think I just really want to share with you. I'm really, really honored to be the first speaker for this Venture Voices series. So as Bernard had shared, actually what we would like to address in this particular session is the when, why, and how we become an entrepreneur, right? And looking at these responses, freedom, frustration, perhaps with the corporate work, wanting to find the independence and flexible timing, to be open, even to be more aware of what is going on in the world. And I think that all these are really resonance with me when I started off my journey. But I am now 43 years old, all right? But before I reach 43 years old and before I reach where I am at today, right, I would like to share with you my growing up journey. So yes, Dennis, please. Thank you. Yep. So before I start, why I quit, my comfortable job, I would like to bring you back to my childhood. Back in 1994, my dad one day came to me when I was still in Hong Kong. My dad came to me with this newspaper article and say, hey, there is this scholarships available in Singapore. Would you like to try out? And to me, when I was 14 years old, then, the first thing comes to my mind is, hey, yeah, of course, I have my freedom, I don't have to be at home, I don't have to report to my parents, if I got a scholarship and I come to Singapore to study on my own, it'll be all my freedom that I have, So I happily agreed to that, and I went for the interview without knowing what this is all about. At the interview session, actually, my best friend from my same secondary school in Hong Kong applied for the same scholarships. And I still remember vividly, the panel actually asked me, if there's only one seat available for the scholarships, who should they give it to? And the 14 years old me, I told them, just give it to my friend because her result is much better than me. I'm happily, letting go of my opportunities. So I think this shows you that I'm not someone that is very hungry for power, for any kind of reward and not. I'm a very happy-go-lucky young ladies when I was that young, I was very blessed to be given a scholarship to come to Singapore when I was 15 years old on my own without my parents here. And I was very blessed to be posted to very good schools, St. Nicholas Girls' School, and then I went into Raffles Junior College. And then after that, I did well enough, right? And the government gave me another scholarship to proceed to the National University of Singapore to study. This journey was very easy for me. Many Singaporeans will be, thinking, I don't like scholars to come in, foreign scholars to come into Singapore. Yes, we take some money, but we were only given 1,200 per year to study. So actually during that time, we don't have a lot of money. And in order for me to sustain myself as well as to buy air tickets to go back Hong Kong every single year, actually this pocket money is not enough for me. So I actually work part-time. When I was in secondary 4, I started giving tuitions to my peers to just earn some more pocket money in order to get myself a tickets to go back Hong Kong to visit my parents every year. So then that's when in 2004, I just graduated from NUS, and I have a shotgun marriage. So I went into a marriage without, a proper job. And to me, I was thinking the easy way out is because I have been giving tuitions all my life. So I thought that why not I just sign on to the Ministry of Education and to be a teacher because I have the skill sets. So I joined the MOE as a teacher when in 2005, and I gave birth to a beautiful young girl. And so from 2005 to 2009 was really a year when, family was my everything. I brought in my very, very humble income, $2,005, to the home. I have no life. I have totally lost myself, because my family is my everything. After I work, I went back home. I look after my daughters. My then ex-husband was not working. So, but he was, he just basically lost himself, no confidence, and he wasn't finding a job. And so I actually supported the whole family with my $2,005. I gave to his parents, I supported my daughters. And in 2008 and 2009, that's when my marriage started to break up. I thought I have done the best. I was the best daughter-in-law. I tried my very best to salvage my marriage because I came from a broken family. So I told myself that, the only one thing that I really like to try very hard to do is to be the best wife, to be the best daughter-in-law, and to be the best mother that I can be, to make sure that my marriage actually works and I do not end up like my parents. But all the things fail because of a third party, and also because of family violence. I have no choice but to leave him with my 2 daughters when they were this young. And I have to move them out of my house. So I moved to a 3-room flat, HDB flat with my humble salary, with the 2 daughters on my own, all by myself in Singapore, all by myself. My family are not here with me. So I have no family support, and I have a very, very lean income to bring up my 2 daughters. And I was very blessed with a very good helper that I can trust with. And so I can, when I work, my helper can look after my daughters. So after 2009, what happened is that I realized one of the mistakes that I have made is I have lost myself completely. as being the best wife, best mother, and best daughter-in-law, but I do not know where was the ranking. I have no self-confidence. My peers saw me and say that you have never bought a decent clothes for yourself. You have never dolled up yourself. You look like you are in the funeral every single day because I'm always wearing the same black dress. So that was me, and I realized that life cannot be like this, and I picked myself up, and I slowly worked myself very comfortably in the schools as a teacher for about 13 years. I am someone that I like new things, and so the schools has been giving me quite a lot of opportunities. Every 2 years they change my portfolio. So from my small little young new teacher, I actually grow up to be a HOD, climb up the career ladder without me trying too hard. I was just doing my job. I'm not the one that playing all the politics and all. I do not know what I really want in life, but I'm just trying to do my job, and I just try to find new challenge and continue to work the best that I can do. So in 2019, that's when I decided that maybe school's life is enough for me, and then I moved into the Ministry of Education as a policy officer. So we thought that, okay, in the school, school setting, I only see the students. When I move into the policy side, I see the world much bigger. I can see how government work. I can see how different country works. I can see, many, many different things. And my world, I thought, it was really open up. But I still start to ask myself, is this really the life that I want to be? In front of my computer all day long and doing something, sending email to perhaps the minister and asking him whether he wants to do lunch. And this particular email, I had to send through like 100 over peoples in order for the email to reach the minister. So I started to ponder about it. Is this really the life that I want to have? I'm 43 years old now. Do I want to see something different? Is this the best year for me to quit? I'm not too sure as well, right? So I quit in 2023, which is this year, in May. All right. I resigned from my 16 years or 17 years of journey from MOE, and then I started my entrepreneur journey. This year, my daughter has just turned to be 18 years old, going into university next year. So do I have enough money to save up for her university? I do not think so. So do I have a lot of money to start up this business? I also do not think so. Do I earn a lot of money from May until now? I also don't think so, right? Is this the right time? I think this is the right time. I'm not too young anymore, but if I'm going to wait for more years, if I were to wait for my daughter to graduate from her university, maybe I'll be too old for all these challenges and all. And do I have a lot of network in my hand? I don't have. The only network that I have is perhaps Jesus. I only have my God. As a teacher, right? Who do I have? Who do I know? I perhaps have many years of students, right? But that's all I have. Do I have a silver spoon in my mouth? No, I don't. I really rely on myself independently since I was young. And I don't have anyone for me to give me the whole entire sum of money to invest in my business. Do I know what I really want to do? I don't. When I quit, I really have no business idea whatsoever. So what do I have? Okay, next please. Yes, this is what I have. I only have my God. I have, however, my knowledge and my skills. Given my background in educations, I kind of know what schools will like, what institutions will like. Given my skill sets in coming out with curriculum, with talking to a lot of educators, with understanding how people learn, I use my skill sets and I started asking myself, with all these, what can I do? So I spent the first few months, for the first year, to really understand the market, to understand what I can do to value add into the already saturated markets. So in ELI, right, in the Entrepreneur Leadership Institute, we have some courses, we do training, we provide training. And I started asking also the law, is this really what we want to do? What kind of training do we want to give to others? And when I was a teacher, I was thinking that, oh, I really want to teach the students life skill. I want to develop them to be future ready. And the best thing is entrepreneurships, because Singaporean students are really not very keen to fail, because the school system really trains them to be successful in everything that they do, and they cannot fail, right? So, but entrepreneurships is something that is very interesting, because failure is part and parcel. We use failure to learn and to progress, right? So I thought that, training entrepreneurship is perhaps something that is interesting. And I do have a skill set. I know how to curate curriculum. And for me, my journey as growing up, and now I'm putting myself out and to interact with a lot of entrepreneurs and understand their perspective. And I actually know somehow certain things about entrepreneurships. And I was telling myself, why not? We do this series of entrepreneurships training, for adults as well as students. So for the first few months, I was trying to understand, how the whole entire skill future system actually works, to understand and to incubate my product. And I think while I may not be bringing in much money for the first year, but I think that, for the short span of time, I have secured some clientele. I managed to convince, top university, SMU, NUS, SUTD to work with us for our product. And I think that this journey in a short span of time is already considered quite an achievement. Considering that I had to incubate, I started off with not knowing what I want to do, and now I have a product to sell, and they are willing to buy. So I think that is my very short journey. I'm still very new in this field, and thank you very much for your time. And I hope that you can understand how I actually start out, what do I have, what do I not have. I do not have a lot of things, but what I have, I use my strength. I understand using my strength and my skill sets, and I just take a leap of faith and started my journey. And until this point, I think the world, although I thought that I have seen enough in MOE as a policy officers, I think that the world is even bigger after I quit my corporate job and see now the world is even bigger. It's a no limit world, and I'm so happy with this journey. Yeah. So this is my sharing. Thank you very much. Yeah. So if you have any questions for me, we will have the questions, the Q&A sessions at the end of the whole sharing. So now maybe we can move to the second Mentimeter questions. What do you aim for in your career and life? What do you like to have, or what do you not like to have? Perhaps you can also give us your responses, where Sneha will be taking you through the next section. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Renee. The reason we ask this question is, very often we try to bifurcate career and life, but usually career is a part of your life. And what you're actually trying to do is build a lot of, as you've written, satisfaction, balance. It's all a part of your life. So with that, thank you so much. A lot of things that all of us are looking out for, and that's also the reason we try to pivot in life. We are trying to figure what next. We're trying to figure how to come unstuck. So a little about me. I'm Snehal. I'm a leadership coach and facilitator based out of Singapore, but I work globally. I'm also a stage 4 breast cancer survivor, if I can call it a survivor, but actually I'm going through my treatment. A little bit of background about me. Born and brought up in India, never thought I'd leave the country. 14 years of corporate HR leadership experience across diverse industries and sectors. Typically service oriented mindset, very risk averse, always been in such a family and never thought business or entrepreneurship was something that I would even think of trying out. Always thought I would retire. Moved to Singapore with my husband in 2019 end because he got an opportunity here. I was pregnant at that point and I thought, okay, I'll take a break and then I'll try to figure my next job. However, I gave birth during lockdown in April of 2020, and shortly after, I was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer. Metastatic basically means it's stage 4, the last stage, and the cancer at the time of detection had already spread to different parts of my body. It had gone into my lungs, my liver, and my bone. The first thing I did, like everybody that we typically do, you go onto the internet and start searching. And my 5-year survival rate that was given for stage 4 breast cancer was 25%. Basically, that means my chances or probability of living beyond 5 years is only 25%. Now, what happened since my detection and the shock that I got? I've been through a lot of sessions of various treatments. The doctors, of course, wanted to throw everything at me to help me get better because I was only 37 years old at the time of detection and no history of cancer in my family, any sort of cancer actually in my family. So you can imagine the shock that, I must have felt. But, more than the what started happening in terms of the treatment was I started, of course, undergoing a lot of physical changes and side effects that I can say that I started having, numbness, a lot of other side effects, of course, changes in physical features that we tend to go through when we go through cancer treatment. But more than the physical, I didn't realize the emotional ramifications that would come. A lot of us go through emotional turmoils in our life. We always have this negative self-talk that starts happening with us. And a lot of it also happens in a new phase of life when you're trying to begin something. Whenever you're in your comfort zone, you might still be okay. Anything new that's happening in your life or a new challenge that's being thrown at you and your mind goes into like complete berserk mode. And that's what happened. I think the first thing for me was I'm going to die. And, we all know rationally at some point, practically that you are going to die at some point. But when there's a statistic or a probability pegged against you, that's when things start getting uncomfortable. The next thing, of course, was my look started changing. I lost all my hair. I don't know how many of you know Lord of the Rings. In that, there is this special character called as Gollum, Smeagol, and he lives in the cave. And every day I'd look at myself in the mirror, and I think I looked more and more like him. To an extent where I remember telling my husband once, very I sometimes have this dark sense of humor that I'm started looking like Gollum. And I was so afraid of looking at myself, and many of us have that, right? We can't put ourselves out there because we're worried about judgment. We're worried about what people will think of us, what they are already thinking or perceiving when they see us out there. And that's what started happening. I started feeling that if I'm scared of looking at myself in the mirror, how would other people look at me? Will they judge me? Will they pity me? And nobody likes to be pitied, right? No matter what is happening in our life, we don't want to be felt sorry for. We don't want people to say, oh, poor thing, tragedy, it happened so young. Her child was just 4 months old at the time of, detection. So I went into a shell. I became a hermit. I stopped stepping out. I stopped taking my kid to the park. Basically, I started playing the waiting game. My motto of my life was let me be cancer free, then I will think about my future. Let me figure out this entire thing. Let me say I have won against the war of cancer. Thankfully, I didn't do that because it's been 3 years since this journey has started and I'm still not cancer free. I actually went through chemotherapy just yesterday. Now, what happened after that, couple of months down, was a friend of mine reached out. Now, guys, when I'm telling you my story, it's also certain tidbits that I'm going to be giving in terms of principles that have helped me to start even the journey of entrepreneurship. So a friend reached out, she was a counselor, and I remember her telling me, Sneha, let's talk. And my first reaction, even though I'm in HR and I know the importance that can be given to therapy and coaching and a lot of these other things that we do, or we would want to seek help for, I told her I don't need help. We always believe we are tough nuts. We don't need anything. We don't need anyone. We can manage everything on our own. Unfortunately, I couldn't and I didn't realize it. two things that she helped me was the way I saw cancer. It was not, it stopped becoming my whole life and was only a part of my life. The second was the way I saw my future. She just helped me unfreeze myself. So many times as entrepreneurs, we do that, right? We're waiting, we're just playing this waiting game for that big moment to come, when probably the entire universe will align. I'll see a shooting star, everything will be in place, and only then I will be ready to begin my journey. So that's what was happening with me, right? I was like, I have this deadline of being cancer free. That's when I will start. So we did this entire exercise of, what will I get if I wait? What will I get if I don't? What's the worst that can happen if I start my journey of thinking of a future? What is the best that can happen if I wait? So different types of SWOT analysis I was, doing in my head. But a very nice thing I worked on at that point. Denise, can you go to the slide, please? I worked on a vision board. I don't know how many of you all are aware of a vision board context. It is basically one question that I asked myself. It was, what kind of life will make me happy and proud? Now, usually when we think of vision boards, or when we think of certain questions like this, our first reaction is to put up things out of a sense of lack. Whatever I don't have will be part of my vision board. I need gym, I need good food, I am not doing any of that. I need to put all of that. The thing is, you need to start thinking of, and because why you don't think of the other part is because it's scary. There's too many fears attached. It's too much of discomfort. I want to think of it only from what I can achieve now. The vision board is a wonderful exercise where you should do it from the concept of abundance. What if there were no fears? What if there were no roadblocks? What if there was no challenges? What would you want to do then to achieve a life of great pride and joy? Now, that is what I landed up working on. You can, search on this on the internet. You can do it for your career. You can do it for your life. You can do it for relationships. You can do it for whatever you want. So next slide. So I made mine. This is after like 2-3 iterations that I actually made this. A lot about people, a lot about self-love, a lot about, what I wanted to do. So 2 things stood out for me at that point of time. And the important thing in a vision board is, don't think of how you will achieve it. Just think of the what. What will I do? How will happen over time. It's just about the what. So for me, there were 2 things. Next, please. I put 2 things out there which I had no clue how I was going to do, because this was a point of time where I was a hermit. So I wanted to help people, like those 2 women sitting there. I wanted to help people, enable people's lives. And I wanted to do something for the cancer community. Now, I had no clue at that point what I would be doing, but I knew at that time that these were certain things that would make me proud of myself. And I wanted to make a career in making a difference or making an impact on people's lives. Next slide, please. So here's the crux. Okay, what did I want? Many times we know what we don't want in our, in our entrepreneurship, right? I don't want a 9-to-5 job. I don't want stress, or I don't want to do that. I don't want a bad boss. Whatever it might, many times we begin with what we don't want, which is fair. Okay. So for me, it was very clear. I didn't want a 9-to-5 job. And many of you have written, you want flexibility. You want less frustrations in life. So whatever you need in life, you will know what you want and what you don't want, and which will help you then get to the stage of what can I do with that sort of knowledge. So I didn't want a high stress job because of course I was going through treatment. I could have done something. I didn't. So I basically was like, no Monday morning blues. I want to do something I'm passionate about. 14-15 years of working in HR. I have built certain skills. Let me see what I can do with that. Now, what started happening was, next please. I knew that, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I had a lot of these limiting beliefs that were there in my head, right? The first was, am I okay even starting my business? What if I fail? I have completely grown up with the context of having a paycheck at the end of every month. How am I going to figure that out, right? Having your next paycheck is what you now have to start figuring, rather than just working and knowing that even if I go on a holiday, I'm getting my paycheck, right? So what if I fail? There were so many things going on in my head. At that time, I realized the importance of knowing your why. If you know why you want to do something, even if you don't know exactly what it is you want to do, if you go one step back and know, why am I even thinking of doing this? Why am I wanting to put myself through this agony or whatever it is? This is what will keep you going in your darkest of times. Know your why. And for me, it was that future that I was creating for myself, where cancer was not my life, where other parts of my life were equally important or actually more important for me. Cancer treatment would continue, and as and when I get better, right? But till then, I can't keep waiting. So that was my why for doing it. Be productive, do something I love. The next was, what did I want to do, right? What do I want to do now, knowing all of this? How could I pivot after 14 years, right, of doing one thing? For some of us, it's trial and error. Some of us, we know it's our passion. Some of us know it's discussions, right? For me, it was a random discussion with my husband. He said, oh, you had done something in 2015. What happened to that? And that's when my coaching thoughts came, because I'd done a training in coaching, but I'd never taken it up that time because I didn't need it at that point of time. So then, when everything started clicking in place, then I was like, okay, let me find out more about it. And that's the where to begin came up. I had to reach out to people. My where to begin happened from reaching out to people, because I didn't have knowledge about this space as much as I should have. I didn't know the landscape at that point of time when I was coming back. So I remember reaching out to somebody. Now the question is, will they ghost me? Will they reject my question? Will they not even, what will they do, right? So those fears were, of course, attached. Crazily, this person answered, who is now my mentor. I will also say in this journey, mentorship is extremely, it's a very productive and symbiotic relationship, I feel. And it really helps you, because brainstorming, advice, sounding board, sometimes even pushing you to think differently is what they can do for you, which many times you can't do for yourself, right? So then he became my mentor at the end of it, helped me understand. And the only thing he said when I told him whatever I'm going through, right? I'm going through chemo, but I still want to do this, blah, 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 blah. And the only thing at that time he said was, don't worry, Snehal, we will do it. If you find such people in your life who can instill that sort of quiet confidence in you, please hold on to them and make them a part of your tribe. The journey of entrepreneurship is very lonely. Many times we are like, oh my God, I'm just like staring at my screen all day. I don't know what I'm doing. Or maybe for you all, it's, you're reaching out to different markets. It is a lonely journey. So build that tribe. You will find people in this journey who are like-minded like you. You will also find people who are not like-minded, who have vested interests. But you will learn. You will learn who your people are. Basically, it's all these people in different boats, but in the same storm, right? So they will empathize with you. They will push you. They will motivate you. They'll make it happen, right? With you. And the next thing, of course, was that one of the fears that I had was asking for help will make me weak. For so many years of a life, I had not done that. Yes, counseling helped me. I did accept help, but this required a very different sort of help, because my baby was very small. He was about 10 months old at that point of time. But the way my family came through for me, my in-laws came through for me, saying, don't worry, just do what makes you happy. And that's what I started doing, and building my tribe and making it happen slowly and confidently. But then I started having even a lot of business issues, right? We always have that. Right? How do we begin? Firstly, in Singapore, I had a DP issue. I was on dependent pass. I couldn't work in Singapore. First big challenge. What do I do? So I said, okay, let it be. I will not work here. I will work in whichever country allows me to work. So I worked in India. I worked in Europe. I worked in various locations which allowed me to work. Of course, the money was getting diverted to India. But I was like, I have to start somewhere. I can't now wait now. When will this change? When will I ever get to work? I thought of a sole proprietorship at that point, but I was not sure about that. So I was like, okay, let me just start with whatever I can and then build it with next steps. The second was being okay with rejection. I was extremely scared of rejection, saying that they are rejecting me. I was always making it personal about me. People would, Snehal, let me get back to you. I'm not so sure. There were very few people who actually gave me a chance. And the only reason, and I was like, okay, we tried to negotiate the terms, and I was like, okay, I almost did it for free. But the important thing at that time for me, again, know why you're doing it. You need validation at that point that what you're doing is right. And you need testimonials for yourself, right? You need to have that word of mouth spreading. So why I was doing it made me think, okay, let me figure this out. This is more important for me than currently my commercials. My commercials will build. Once I get my testimonial, whatever, I can scale that up. And the last for me was managing my self-talk. The self-esteem issues never go. You're always wondering about yourself. You're always second-guessing yourself. That imposter syndrome is such a huge thing in our head. Am I good enough? People will see through me. right? A lot of these things, that is the time you have to figure what are the 2, 3 things I can keep reminding myself, right? For me, it is my tribe. Very often I go to my husband and I'll be like, this happened, and he just gives me this perspective or feedback that you can get, testimonials which you can read sometimes and really go back to. Some of these things can help you just calm your imposter syndrome or the negative, they call it the inner critic. So just calming your inner critic down a lot. Next, please. So with this, I'm ending. Short thing. Key learnings that I've had in my journey since then. Know your why. It's extremely important. Money matters, guys. Many times, understanding your cash flow. Some of us don't come from that space of understanding commercials. In entrepreneurship, you need to. Knowing your cash flows, knowing how things work, knowing how to invest. The third is, what have I learned in this first year? I call this as your pause. You need to take pauses. Like, it's like a Formula One race. Even those high-end cars need pit stops. And those pit stops will be hardly like 10 seconds, okay? They're not expecting you to do like 20 hours of pit stops, right? You're not expected to do 1 hour. They're very short pit stops that you need to keep taking to go to how do I learn? And how do I, how will I learn? What have I learned so far? And so on. And the next one is practice. I know the first step, the inertia will always be very high. It's like that big push you need to make. But once you make a habit, forget a habit, you take the first step. I call it baby steps. Always take baby steps. The journey becomes easier. Riding a bicycle for the first time wasn't easy for you. You fell 10 times, but now you can just ride a bicycle even if you've not done it for 10 years, right? So then it becomes a muscle for you. The next part is strengths and weaknesses. Many times we try to make our weaknesses into strengths. Usually, I would say try not to doing that in the beginning, okay? Make your strengths your superpowers. They're anyway your superpowers. Use them. But your weaknesses that you have, ensure that they don't derail your success. You have to manage your weakness so that they don't derail you. That's pretty much it at the beginning. You go to do everything. Like, for example, if my kid is not like some Einstein at maths, I'm not going to try to make him an Einstein at maths. I'm going to ensure whatever he's good at, he really does it well. And just ensure he doesn't fail in maths and does decently well, right? And the last, of course, is have your tribe in place, right? I can't say enough. And your tribe can come from anywhere, right? I remember once telling your client saying, I don't have any friends, which is all right. There are so many networking groups you have. There will be so many similar hobby groups that you have, different spaces where you can start socializing and making your tribe. You don't have to say that, oh, I didn't have friends from childhood and I can't make any now, right? So with this, I will end my talk. And we are, of course, open to questions at the end. And we will go on to our next question, which will be taken up by Sujata with her lovely story. And the question is, what is keeping you from making a move forward? Many times we've taken probably no step and you're waiting, or you've taken the first step and you're stuck. So what are those challenges that you're facing that you feel, oh my God, it's just too big right now for me?
Okay, thank you, Sneha. And fear of losing, that's a very, what should I say, on the spot question for me. No resources, low confidence, no help, risky. It's like probably some of you know my journey and you're actually taking me there. So I will start by saying that I wrote a book which is called Against All Odds, no retakes, no manuals, real life lessons. And it started with me being me from age 10 when I lost my father. And I was brought up by my widowed mother. And can you just put the slide, please? Yeah. Yeah, so I was brought up by my widowed mother, and I saw human behavior at up close. I saw how people changed, how people operated from age 10, and I'm still learning. And she gave just three mandates to her three daughters. One was the religion was to be human and kind. The second was that we should be financially independent. And the third was that we should each at least be minimum graduates, because she was not a graduate. When she became a widow, she had just done schooling, but because she was a senior bureaucrat's wife, she got a job on compassionate grounds. But she knew with her foresight that we may not be as lucky if ever life-altering moments happen to us. Anyway, so I was a rebel, or you can say I'm not a very biddable person. And I married the boy next door against a lot of, drama, because they didn't want me. I was not an ideal daughter-in-law, whatever, but we got married. I tried to please my in-laws, and I realized that you can't win over people if they have made up their minds. So 13 years down the line, after being a housewife, where I wouldn't go and buy vegetables without, being with my husband, I decided to go for a job. With just a bachelor's degree, I had no resume, no work experience, and I just walked up to a guy. I think that day I realized somehow that I know how to speak. And I just asked him for a job. And mind you, this is in my early 30s, and he agreed to give me that break. And it's not that I asked for an admin job or an HR job or something like that, being a woman. I asked for a sales and marketing job in computers. And he said just one thing, that your boss will be somebody younger to you and probably a male person. Are you okay with that? I said, I have no egos. And that started my journey. But when we talk of this, you can imagine I can be frightened, I can be lonely, because one fine day you're dropped off at the corner of a street, and that is your territory. So you have to go from one end of the street to the other end into offices trying to sell your company's computers. And it is very, very hard. When you have not been there, you don't know what to say, and you've got these brochures and you have to sell. But I learn on the job. That's what I'm trying to say. It is just my self-confidence and belief that has carried me all through my life. So I was successful in that job. Within a year, I got a big order, but it clashed with my husband's job. So I had to step down. And look at it. That time I was very upset. But if you connect the dots, you'll see that as I said in Jakarta recently, I wrote the book, but the journey was not written by me. So the next break that I got was in journalism. Now I had 1 year's IT experience. That's all that I had when I approached a leading newspaper publisher. And that's it. And he gave me the job. And I've always had tough things thrown at me. It's not as if, okay, you can be a writer and you can write some columns or this thing. I was given a 12-page tabloid on IT. And from first page to last page, I was supposed to fill it entirely. The thing with me is I never say no, and I learn on the job. So I took it, and for 5 years, I was a journalist with no degree in journalism. Why I say this is because from then to now, there are societies, people, and world at large who are hung up on designations, on certifications and all that. My thing is all practical experience and wisdom. So for 5 years, I was a journalist. After that, when I got a little bored and I was occupational hazard, as I call it, I got my next break into anti-counterfeiting, which is a typically male-dominated niche field. Neither was I a retired lawyer, cop, or judge, but I was asked by the industry chambers to fight for brand protection. So overnight, again, I didn't say no. Overnight, I became an investigator, and I used to conduct raids with the help of police. I used to meet various stakeholders like ministers, state ministers, NGOs, informers, and all. That is again how I developed. And then finally, when that finished, because my bosses got jealous since I was invited abroad for seminars and conferences, I parted ways, opened my company. And I was really, really fed up when somewhere, I believe in human angels, because as you can see, I cannot say that there was any people supporting me or helping me. Every time I wanted to do something, it was, you cannot do it. So I didn't have the thing of a tribe, or I didn't have supporters. I was just plodding along on my own. And when my husband got a offer to go to Singapore, I told him to take it because it was my destiny calling. Landed up in Singapore, but before that, I had a spiritual experience, and I met God in Barcelona. I should say here, when I'm asked to introduce myself, I say I'm a global citizen based in Singapore, born in the wrong country. Okay. And so I met God in Barcelona. I met my angels in Barcelona. And the toughest moment in my life was when I was fighting for justice for my daughter when she got raped in India. And that time, you need finances. You need everything to fight a case. And God gave me that by giving me the chance to become an entrepreneur in Singapore. It's not an easy thing to be a foreigner and start your own business, that too in retail. So here I was, where I had a retail company on ground, started from scratch. The only person I will say who was there as support was my son, because we both started it. But imagine 8 years trying to run your business and trying to fight for justice. Not an easy thing. And it takes a toll on your health. You can be very strong, you can be resilient, but somewhere it will take a toll. And I was prepared to do it. For me, when I take up something, I have to finish it to the end. There's no other option. I always operate on principles, and I don't work on results. And I have a different thing of failure. People say failure. I say no, failure is a learning curve. It may be an approach, didn't work in a certain context, but there's no such thing as actually failure for me. It's just a learning thing. And so that's how my entrepreneurship journey has been. I'm not going to say further because I think I may be running out of time. In a nutshell, I've given you all that shaped me as an individual. Today, I would say the brand is not anything but me. And that is my brand. And people are welcome to take it or leave it. They can take my wisdom. I'm everybody's 2 a.m., 4 a.m. friend. That's where I'll end now. Thank you for listening.
Well, thank you so much, Sujata, Renee, and Sneha, for sharing your amazing testimony and journey. I'm sure there's a lot of burning questions coming from our audience today, especially hearing how you ladies have stood up against the odds and challenged various societal norms. So our speakers are open up for Q&A right now. There's a QR code over here. You guys know the drill. Just scan the QR code with your phones and give us your questions over the handphone. There were some questions that was raised while we were collecting the attendance. Okay, I'll just shoot some of the questions here to our speakers while we are collating more Q&A. So keep your questions coming to the audience. Okay. Christopher, there was one question that you posed earlier when you when you were signing up for this session. Question is there anything men can specially do to support women in the businesses? So just read out your questions first, Chris, if you don't mind. Probably I can leave this question open for Sujata, Sneha, or even Renee. Any of you ladies want to take this? Anything men can help?
So you're asking how men can support women, right? It's very simple. The fact that you asked this question, it means that you are supportive of women. The fact that you asked this question, I would say all it takes is understanding, no control or changing your partner or the women, whether it's in workplace or home. You just accept that they are a different identity with different, this thing. I mean, we are not clones, right? So you just support them in what they do to the best of your ability. And likewise, the woman has to support the man, in allowing him to be who he is. The moment we try to control or change them, that's when problems arise.
Thanks, Sujata. Sneha, we'd like to add to this question. Anything men can do specifically to support you in your business?
So I saw it personally. My husband was my caregiver, is my caregiver, as well as so I think he played a lot of roles for me, but I think the most important part is you understand your person enough to empathize. Sometimes women are not looking for advice. They're not looking for you to tell them what you want them to do. They just want you to probably sit down and let them download. I know that can be difficult, but yeah, I think it's just sometimes that. So you have to gauge what are they looking for? Are they looking for that nudge? Are they just looking to just have you just sit there while they're like releasing all their frustrations, and what is it? And pretty much like get out of the way and then, just help them through that.
Thanks. Yeah, I agree. Even for guys, as an entrepreneur myself, I have a lot of things to download at the end of the day, and I think it takes two ways. There's a lot of burden, and challenges that entrepreneurs face day to day. Having a supportive partner is definitely very, very helpful. And there's one question from Jamie. In your opinion, what is it unique to you, or what is it that attributes to your success? Maybe I'll let Renee take this question first. So in your opinion, what is unique to you? What is the one thing that attributes to your success?
I think everybody is unique. I think we all have our own strengths and weaknesses. It's not like, one particular strength is better than the others. So for myself, I think I am a generally very positive person, and I'm very joyful. I take things very positively, and I always see that, anything, there is a way to go about it, and there's always a way to solve certain problems. So I think this is one of my strengths, and my positivity is the one that really drives me forward. Yes.
Thanks. Being positive is very important for entrepreneurs. Sneha, how about you? What's the one attribute that you think that you will help in your success?
I think it's this resilience piece that I feel to be able to just know that I got through this. I've also been divorced earlier, so I got through a divorce. I've been through this. I can be through the next things. It's okay. I realize it's not the end of the world. So yeah, we can get through it.
And how about you, Sujata? There's so many attributes that I see, so it'll be very tough. Maybe top three.
Well, I think it is, being, having a self-belief, because people will always put you down, always. In my 62 years, even now, people try to put me down. But I just watch and observe. There are people who will put you down, then there'll be people who will bring you up. And like I say, if we start living according to people's expectations, I feel we will end up with split personality disorders, because we cannot live, according to people's expectations. We can be who we are. And if we have a self-belief and we know that we are on the right path, that's all that matters.
Thanks, Sujata. Well said. I firmly believe in that. And you yourself have been an entrepreneur for years. So the one question came in. Okay, entrepreneurs can be lonely as we take all the stress about the company. In your experience, what helped you through the stressful stage? So it's very stressful as an entrepreneur, managing the company. What helped you with that stressful stage? Though every stage, I must say, is quite stressful. Maybe Renee, maybe you can answer that first.
I think I'm still a baby in entrepreneurships. But yes, entrepreneur can be lonely, but that's why our Eli actually come up with this mentoring program. It's called the B12 peer-to-peer mentoring. I think that while we think that when I was young, I always thought that business world is not a very friendly place. But actually, after I quit and I come up, I realized that actually the business world, there's many people who are nice people who are there to also try to help one another, because we all know how tough it is, especially to start a company. The first year is always so tough, because you are nobody, you have no success story, you have no testimony to actually share with people that, I have done something. And because a lot of big organizations will always give chance to people who have track record. But if they don't never give you an opportunity, how do you even have a track record, right? So I think there is always a struggle for startup, and but there are actually a lot of other nice people around. Knowing the difficulties of a startup company, they are very willing to share and to help and to journey together with you. I think the thing here is you need to put yourself out there to ask for help. You never know who will be kind enough to ask, to actually help you, and who will actually be generous enough to guide you along the journey with you. You know, we just met, you know, Sneha and Sujata, right? And you know, we just click and, you know, hey, we just say that why not we have this webinar, and all of us just like, yes, you know, we just help one another to inspire other people like us, you know, at this stage, thinking whether it is for us to start our business, right? And I think that there are really very nice people, angels around us to help us. Entrepreneurship is not so lonely if you are willing to actually put yourself out there.
True. Thanks, Renee. It's not easy. Sneha, how about you? There's a lot of things to stress about. What kept you going? How do you manage that?
I think you have to take out time for self-care. I know there's like too many things that you're juggling. But trust me, if you don't do it for yourself now, it's going to come a point that it's going to ask you. Your body is going to ask you for it, you know, so that entire stress burnout is very real. So, you know, getting a handle over your mindset, getting a just self-care in is very important.
Got it. Thanks so much, Sneha. Another questions came in. What was the key thing that kept you going? I love to hear from Sujata. You know, you've been through a lot. What kept you going all this while?
So, like I said, I just know that when I take up something, I just have to go to the finish line. I have to finish it. I don't know whether I win or fail or I pass, but I know that I have to do the journey till the very end. The results may not be in my favor, but I have to do the processing. And so that keeps me going. It doesn't matter what I take up or what is thrown at me. I have to just deal with it to the best of my ability. And I'm realistic enough to know that I can be rejected, I can fail, but that's a part of it. It's a part of life. So I'm not going to go over there thinking, oh, I need this goal and I have to, you know, get to that goal. Yes, the goal is the end result, but not the parameters of numbers and stuff like that. And yes, some people who have helped me along the way are random human angels. They are not your family and friends, at least in my case. That I will have to say. Most of them who gave me my breaks in my career and who helped me in my toughest moment were random strangers, because society has not always stood by me, which is fine. I don't depend also. But if I find good friends and I find good people who support me all the time, that comes as a human angel, I say. And I've had my fair share of them.
Thanks so much for sharing, Sujata. In fact, a lot of times people are so burdened with the results, whether they are so scared of failure that they rather not try or give up halfway so that they don't fail. But actually, if we don't try, we fail immediately. So it's not easy. In fact, another question came in. It's a slight tweak. You know, instead of what keeps you going, but what motivates yourself? You know, in the face of all the challenges. So we're talking about carrots. You know, what's that fire that motivates? Probably I pass this question to Sneha. You know, what motivates you amidst all these challenges that you face?
What motivates me is, I think I just love what I do. I'm telling you, I didn't believe in all this passion, purpose. I used to think it's all faff. But if you truly are able to find something that you really like doing, they're not going to have any of these Monday morning blues and, oh my God, I have to go to work. You're not going to have those sort of reactions to things. So I think truly that motivates me is that. And I basically want to build an identity for myself. Yes, I'm a mother, I'm a, you know, wife, everything, right? Going through my cancer journey, everything. But I want to do something for myself that makes me happy. So I think that keeps me there.
Good point, Sneha. In fact, that's very important. You know, to really believe in something, do something you like, and then you proceed towards that. Renee, I know you're very positive as an individual, based on your sharing. But what motivates you? You know, despite being positive, what motivates you during the challenges?
I think I see, for me, it's purpose. So I started off, you know, as a teacher. I'm not very contented with the current school curriculum is teaching the kids. And then I came out and then find something that I think is going to be relevant to the future generations. And I think that, just the thought of this, if I can really make a difference in the future life, why not? So this is something that really keep me going. And I think that there are, supports from my clientele. I have been receiving, clients from Hong Kong, from other schools, and say that, hey, your program is really something different from what other tour agency can offer. And we really like it, even though it's going to be expensive, but we really think that, there's a value adding component to our students, and therefore they want to engage us to partner with them. And so I think these are small things that really keep me going, and to verify that, the direction that I set out is going to be helpful and going to be useful for the generations. And therefore, I think this is something that keeps me moving and motivate me. And I think as Sujata has shared, it is not really the outcome that we are looking at. It's not that every single time when I speak to a client, I must close a deal. Even a failure, even a rejection from a client to tell me that, hey, your program is not good enough. My market is not going to like it. You learn from it. It is a journey of improving your product, learning from them. Why is it that they do not like it? And just keep going and keep striving and keep doing something meaningful and something that is useful for them. I think this is really a joy for me. This whole entire journey is something that really keeps me moving.
Thanks, Renee. Yeah, we're running a bit short of time. There's one last question that I'd like all three speakers to address, and I think it's quite meaningful. It came in like, how will you encourage ordinary men or women to be extraordinary in the things they do, running a business, for instance? So how will you encourage, ordinary people, men, women, to become extraordinary you guys in the things they do? Sujata, maybe you can take this. I'm sure you have a lot of inspiration to share.
Firstly, I believe that everyone is unique. So each of us are unique. And in our own ways, we are probably extraordinary. We just don't see it. And we expect the world to tell us that we are extraordinary. But it's not really extraordinary or ordinary. It's just be your authentic self, and that is how everybody should operate. If you are just your authentic self and you give something or the other, we all have something to offer. And I would just like to say this, for me, it's like paying it forward, where, I just want to be there because, as we discussed, lonely and, being alone, I want to be there for everybody, share my wisdom, because it's meant to be shared. It's meant to be inspiring, and it's meant to be, there for people who are facing self-doubts or whatever it is. So that's how it is. I mean, don't base your this thing of extraordinary or ordinary based on what society tells you. You just be who you are. The best version of yourself is actually the best version.
Well said.
Don't let other people define you. You define yourself.
It's true. Sneha, anything that you like to share about for ordinary men, women, how to become extraordinary in the things they do?
Yeah, I know. I completely agree with Sujata. I think we all have it in us. We just don't see it. It needs to be it's like sometimes we wait for others. We wait for it to be polished. We wait for the right time to become extraordinary. But I'm telling you, sometimes, you have to be pushed against the wall to make you realize how extraordinary you are. And sometimes you're just gifted with it. You have these moments when you can take it. So if you're given that opportunity, take out the time to notice it before it passes. Not many people get those sort of opportunities. So if you do take it, the risk, you can always figure out your risk and, figure out how you can manage those risks better, but don't let it go because you're too fearful of it.
Renee, anything you want to add on to inspire?
No, I think we all agree that actually all of us, you can say that, we are all ordinary, or
That's
we
right.
are all extraordinary, where we are all unique individuals. And, it's really about your own self-confidence. I totally agree with Sujata. Do not let other people define who you are. You are who you are. You are who you are because of your own journey, your long life journey. We all share very different journeys. I am no one that's near you. My status is nowhere near you. You are as extraordinary than us, like us, right? Because we all have our own journey. We all have our own little books that write our own stories. So just define yourself, who do you want to be, and be confident about it. we all have our own set of experience that make us very unique and very different from one another. So believe in it. I mean, like what we have shared, I have nothing, right? Sujata was a housewife, I was a divorcee, I was just a teacher, I have no little skills, right? So who are we? But yes, we are here, starting our own journey, charting our own story. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much. In fact, thanks so much. I'm very privileged today to hear from all three of you, women in business, and I believe the audience will resonate the same. We have all witnessed your stories of triumph against the stigmas, surpassing societal norms while balancing family obligations, and even persevering despite your health adversities. Truly, our three speakers here today have exemplified that breaking barriers isn't a solitary endeavor. It is a collective effort rooted in support, advocacy, and shared experience. The narratives shared today here underscore the imperative need for a shift in societal paradigms, promoting inclusivity and equal opportunities for women in all spheres. We also learn, most importantly, that success isn't solely defined by conventional matrices, but by their strength or our strength to challenge norms, shatter stereotypes, and create our own definition of achievement. It is really about recognizing family commitments, even health challenges, that they shouldn't be deterrents, but catalysts for innovation and adaptation. Each obstacle encountered, what I hear today, has been a stepping stone. It has not been a roadblock, and he has been highlighting the incredible resilience and tenacity of women in the face of adversity. So we really hope these stories today serve as a beacons of inspiration, encouraging all of us to forge ahead, embrace diversity, and champion equality. As we conclude this first edition of Venture Voices, let's carry forward the spirit of this discussion. We're fostering environments where business owners or business owners to be are empowered to thrive in, unencumbered by stigmas or societal limitations. I'd like to seek to continue this dialogue, amplifying voices of entrepreneurs and nurturing a culture that celebrates achievements of both women and men in business. So do stay tuned and follow us on social media. Besides the monthly webinars on Venture Voices, you'll also find regular postings, articles, and events related to entrepreneurship and leadership. Next month, in fact, so here's our social media. Join us, follow us. Thank you so much again to all the three ladies here. Really privileged today. And next month, moving on into the second edition of Venture Voices, we're going to touch on the skill sets essential for the success of all entrepreneurs. It's going to be on 10 January 2024. Do join us if you're available. So with this, we shall officially conclude the webinar today, and we hope you have enjoyed today's session, and all of you will have a blessed weekend ahead. Stay tuned and see you guys next month. God bless you. Thank you, Sujata, Sneha, Renee, once again. Thank you so much. And thank you for all the audience for your attention. Thanks, Chris.